For as long as I can remember, the idea of space travel has amazed me. How do you get to space, and why should we go there? Let's explore this question today on Science 101. Hello, and welcome to Science 101, the show where we explore different scientific studies in hopes to educate all minds, old and young. Today, we're going to explore how we get to space and why we should go there. A question which has a rather grim answer. Let's begin. Space travel is hard. It's just hard to get into space. It's hard to escape the Earth's gravity. So how do we do it? There are two main strategies that you should know about. The first strategy is to just orbit around the Earth, and the second one is to just launch yourself away from the Earth as quick as possible. Let's talk about the first strategy. How do objects orbit around other objects, and why do they stay up? You see, when an object is in orbit, it's not actually being pulled around the body that it orbits. If the object had zero velocity, it would simply fall to the surface of its orbital parent, the object that it orbits around. The reason that objects like the International Space Station stay in orbit is because they aren't just falling towards the Earth, they're falling towards the Earth and accelerating sideways really quickly. So basically, they're falling to the surface and moving out of the way to avoid hitting it. To give you a sense of how fast you have to move in order to do this, Randall Munroe provides a good comparison. You see, Randall says in his book, What If, that if you listen to the song I'm Gonna Be, that by the end of the 3 minutes and 30 seconds that the song takes up, you would have traveled almost exactly 1,000 miles. 1,000 miles in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Now, to put that in perspective, the world record fastest marathon clocks in at 2 hours, 1 minute, and 39 seconds. In order to walk or run 1,000 miles, you would have to complete 40 marathons, taking almost 3.5 days to complete. So essentially, what would take the best marathon runner alive 3.5 days takes the International Space Station just 3.5 minutes. So orbiting is basically just going really fast sideways. But how do you get to space? It's really hard, because in order to launch yourself, you need fuel. But the more fuel you add on, the heavier the tanks get. So the more fuel you need in order to actually launch yourself into space. So how do we fix that? Basically, there's a point where you have enough fuel separated into different tanks, where when you launch the rocket up, when one tank runs out of fuel, you detach it from the ship. So then you have less weight because you dropped off a fuel tank. And then you start using the second fuel tank, and the rocket keeps going up, and then you drop off another fuel tank. And as you keep going up, you drop off all the empty fuel tanks so that it's easier for the rest of the fuel to launch you faster. And that's how you get to space. So once we get to space, what do we do there? It's actually really difficult, because objects in space are extremely far apart. To get to the moon during the Apollo missions, the trips took days, and that's just to the moon. It is expected that a manned mission to Pluto would take about 15 years, and things that are more distant, like solar systems, are even farther away. So far, in fact, that they're not even worth talking about in this video. But what about Mars? Mars has ice on it, which means there used to be water there. Could we live there? Maybe, but it would be hard. It would involve a lot of terraforming, which is when you take land and you change it to better fit your needs. It's very difficult, but we could do it someday. But why? Why should we go through all that effort when we have a perfectly good planet right here? Well, this is where it gets dark. You see, as it turns out, our planet won't be perfect forever. The sun is expanding, and in billions of years, it will engulf the Earth, destroying everything we know. But Mars will survive. Mars will make it. If we can establish colonies on Mars, the human race might survive a little longer. We might survive long enough to visit other solar systems, maybe find one that we can live in, one that can sustain us. But we also go to space because it's cool. There are tons of mysteries out there that we haven't discovered the answers to yet. They all lie out there somewhere, the answers to these questions, waiting for us to uncover them. Are we alone in this universe? No, surely not. There are hundreds of billions of galaxies, each with hundreds of billions of stars, each which probably have planets around them. There's guaranteed to be at least one planet that has life similar to us. Through all those planets, what are the odds that they don't have life out there too? It's almost guaranteed that there's life somewhere out there. We just have to find it. That's all for today, and remember to keep on learning.